Hi, this is Dave, Fell Running Guide. Welcome to this week's navigation task. It's a Peak District view this week. I'm having a brew taking in the view, and what I want to know is where exactly was the photo taken, and can you identify these two features circled here and here? We're using the Harvey Superwalker 1 to 25,000 map for this task, and I've got a licensing agreement with Harvey's to use their map. So let's have a look at the photo. What are the outstanding features that we can see? Well, we've got an obvious man-made feature coming down here with this fence line, but I think we always should put the man-made features to the back of our mind and look at the natural shape of the ground first, because that is not going to change. That's not going to get missed off the map. So in terms of natural features, if we follow the ground, it drops down away from us, down, 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 and then we've got this pronounced valley here running down, and it looks like it goes into another valley here because the ground goes up the other side. So it looks like this ground is draining, possibly the head of a stream here, draining down into a valley there. And then here we've got a slight rise, and you can see a bit of a horizon here, and then that ground drops down, and then we've got this big, obvious, big, wide, flat plateau here beyond that point there. So those are those features there, and then here we're looking for just this change of slope angle where this looks like there's a ridge running down, and then it drops away and it starts to drop more steeply down into this feature that we've just mentioned. So on the map, can we see any of those? So we've got valleys draining into a larger valley here, cloughs as they're called, and then we've got this one coming down, grind into this valley here, and then we've got cloughs on the other side coming down. But remember, we're looking for a sort of a slight rise on over to our left, and then that big flat plateau. So can we see that? Well, we've got ground dropping down here, look, down grain, and then steeply up the other side. So could be looking down that, and so we could be up here somewhere, and then looking over, we've got this big kind of flat plateau here, and then this feature here. So could we be somewhere looking from Barrowstones area or Grinerstones area down Griner Grain and up the other side? Well, let's see again. Well, if we were at Grinerstones, would we be able to see this feature here on our left hand side, dropping down to that flatter ground? Let's check. Well, that higher area round hill will be away back to the left of us, back behind us. We'd certainly be able to see this ground here and this ground dropping away, but we wouldn't be able to see this slight rise of round hill. Okay, so that area there, if that's round hill, does it fit with this dropping away and down? Double check. Round hill, and then the little ridge running off down is this plateau. Yes, it could. So that puts us up somewhere on Barrowstones. Now let's have a look. I mentioned the man-made feature of this boundary line. So we're looking for a black or grey line on the map. And if we look closely, let me just zoom in slightly, can we see here this grey line coming down? So that is a boundary line. Now the interesting thing about Harvey maps is when they are black lines, it's a maintained boundary. When they're grey lines, it's a non-maintained boundary. That means sometimes that they're tumble down walls, but in this case it isn't. It looks like a new fence, so maybe the fence has been put up since this was mapped as a non-maintained boundary. So that's one of the reasons why it's best to look at the landscape features rather than the man-made feature. So let's just check again. Yeah, you can see we're very close to this fence line at this point here, so we need to be right next to it on the map with the fence being on our left. So let's have a check. That puts us somewhere in this area here, looking over to Round Hill. What about that second feature? Well, we were looking at the change of angle, just where the ground is dropping away and then it suddenly steepens at that point, dropping into this valley here. So if we're looking down from this area, the ground's dropping away, and then just about here on that index contour it steepens up and drops more steeply down. So that is your answer, or those are your answers taken from just below Barrowstones, looking over to Round Hill, and then the break of slope above Griner Grain. So not too difficult, I don't think, this week, but you might disagree. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and look out for next week's navigation task. Bye for now.